So I am absolutely dumbfounded. I used to be a dev, much more regularly. I can still dabble in some Python every once in a while, but this, folks, is absolutely incredible. So I've had this sensor idea for a long, long time, probably about 2 years now, and I'm kind of frustrated at how long it's taken me to get far with this idea. And I tried it a couple times, and I got down to the example code and started work on that, but I just couldn't figure out what to do next. And so I stuck. I like reached out for maybe to find somebody to mentor, and I got on some discourse, and then just things kept happening. I kept getting busy, so oddly enough, I tried out some OpenAI image generation, which was a lot of fun, and so I'm like, okay, let's go to Chat GPT and let's see how cool it is, and if it can help me with this problem. Maybe if I can have a human to talk to help me do this, maybe, who knows? Maybe this AI will be able to help me. So in this, I'm going to have to, obviously I'm going to have to dox my idea quite a bit. And that's okay. I had intended to open source it. And so I think that this is a community that will rally around the support of like, hey, it's kind of Ed's idea, let's try and help him out. Again, this isn't an intention to get rich quick or anything like that. It's actually, I think it's the value of the idea is way more important than making the money off of it. Obviously, if I get a little, kickback of sorts to just make it worth my time, that'd be awesome. So, the idea, here we go, putting it out in the open, is to issue an alert on an occupied hot car. It could be a cold car too, but primarily, since hot cars are more dangerous, then let's do that first. Of course, we're just coming off of winter in the northern hemisphere. Probably been nice to have an alert sensor for cold temperatures, as I know that there was some people in Buffalo that passed away, unfortunately, because of cold temperatures. So these are some life-saving applications. Obviously, there comes with a huge warning behind these that this is just tech. This isn't, and especially early tech. There's no liability that can be assumed at all. Like I'd say, even if it saves one life, I think that is way better. Ask that person's family how valuable that was to them. And if this idea can save one life, then I think I've won. So let's go back to Chat GPT. All right, so I'm going to actually share the example, and I'm going to walk you through my logic of what I did. Now, rest assured, or I guess one caveat here is I have not compiled this code. That would be the next step in probably asking Chat GPT to help me figure out where to insert that code and how to work with the IDE. Maybe, I don't know. I'm sure that there are going to be a ton of comments off this video, so I hope it gets shared and just shows the power of what you can do with somebody with a little bit of knowledge about programming, but also a cool idea, and especially in this Helium world. Wow, this is just, I'm so excited. All right, let me actually show you this example and talk you through it. Okay, so you're not going to be able to see my face here in the wow reactions, but all right. So I started with the ideas. Arduino is the IDE I'm using. So I said, for Arduino, give me code that will issue a warning above 70 degrees and an alert above 80 degrees. And then of course it gives me that temperature range and all the code that I would need. And you can see down here, there is plenty of alert. It says serial.println, alert temperature above 80 degrees. And then if it's just the warning, then it alerts the warning and puts it above 70 degrees. Now, that was great. I was like, oh, that's cool. That's some code that gets rid of a lot of the fluff, I could write that just about in any language, but I didn't understand the ramifications of the what things to include and just some setup stuff, how to connect to the device. And I know that there was a serial baud rate, and I got some of that from the examples, but this was pretty cool. So, okay. And then it gives an explanation of the code, which is great. And I was like, well, but I'm not using, I was like, oh, this looks like Adafruit. I don't even know what that is. And it's like giving some sensor. I was like, well, I don't know what that sensor is. So I want to use a different sensor. And I was like, I might as well ask, right? All right. So I said, can you use the library from Rack? And it says, yes. I'm like, sweet. So yes, it is possible. All right. Well, can you give me an example? And it says it does that and explains it. And I was like, well, give me the previous code example I asked for, but compatible with a Helium dev kit from Rack Wireless. And so then it takes my exact code that I just requested, but that says, okay, this is how you do it with the dev kit. All right. So then you can see that Rack Nimble Arduino, and then some sensor information. And then there's the temperature. Same thing. Great. All right. Now, that's cool. I still haven't compiled it at this point. I will eventually do that. All right. So then I said, what are uncomfortable versus dangerous temperatures for pets and young children? And it gives me all this explanation, and it includes the Fahrenheit and Celsius, which is amazing. That would be something to add to this code example. Perhaps we can do that at the very end. Okay. So then it tells me that basically it's above 75 degrees and or 80 degrees. So we would take probably the lower temperature, but once we get the numbers in there, we can change. But it was just like, okay, well, what does at least this suggest as dangerous temperatures? And I think that these are critical alert, like critically dangerous temperatures. You might want to have a warning status at a lower temperature. But anyways, so okay, now I taught the AI to like, hey, these are some temperatures that I really care about. Okay. So then I said, can you change the code example I just gave to use the uncomfortable and dangerous temperatures from my previous question on pets and young children? Sure. Here's the modified code. So it goes through and it literally tells me, hey, danger. And and then it even talks about the exact, it's like heat stroke risk for pets and young children versus being uncomfortable, which is amazing. I'm so impressed at this ability to include this information. And I'm like, okay, well, that's all well and good. But I was still unsure about that Rack Nimble Arduino at the top. So I said, let's give it some more information. I said, can you give the last request for code compatible with the WizBlock 4631? Because when I plug that board in, that's what it says. And so, and then I said, and also incorporate current GPS information into the warning and alert information. And it says, sure, here's your code. So then I can take this code and put it into here. And it gives me the latitude and longitude for each location. Or for the warning and the alert. Okay. Now I said, hey, I also have an environmental sensor loaded on the Rack 4631. Can you incorporate warnings and alerts also for air quality from the sensor? And it says, sure, I can do that. So then it does that. And you can see at the top, it says it has the 4630_ENV, which would be the environment sensor. And so then it says down at the bottom here, if env.air quality is less than 20, then it says it's poor at location. And then the other one says it's moderate, which I would assume it means it's like, again, like a warning status, but not that it's poor or dangerous. So then I said, when warning and alerting, please include the exact temperature as well. Sure, here you go. And it adds that. Okay. And then it ran out of room, and so I think I reached the capacity at that time. But I'm going to try and say, let's see here. All right, so I want to use this code, and I want to insert a little variable that says, all right, let's just switch this based on some setting to toggle between outputting. Oh, to switch output. All right, so hopefully this will work. It may not. Oh, great. It's working again. Like I said earlier, I couldn't, it stopped giving me code because it had reached capacity, and there might be I don't know if there's a limit to the amount of text that it can push out. But then I just want to, at some point, say, hey, email this to me or something like that. And yeah, this was my hump that I had to get over. So if the next step is that this is some, even if it is at best pseudocode or very poorly written code, I can take this code and slam it in and start doing some debugging analysis, some testing with it, or even get it to something that can be reviewed by someone. Now here it seems like it's kind of crapped out a little bit, which is unfortunate. Oh, there's even a copy code button, which is amazing. So I'm not sure what has happened, but I've lost all the meat of my code. But that is the example. And I'll go back to just talking with my face here. I am just thrilled that this could even remotely be a format, right? It gets me well over the hump of, hey, here's some code. Now, it may not work exactly correct, but it might. It might work a little bit better. So I'm trying to just throw this out there and say, look, community, this is a cool idea. I've got some sample code. I'm going to start working with this a little bit more. If you're interested in pushing this farther, this idea a little bit farther down, and actually maybe later on make them, that would be amazing. But for right now, if you want to help me in doing this, if this is your skill set and you want to help guide me in this, I would very much appreciate it. Again, I'm going to be open sourcing this. This is not something that I'm going to provide closed source because honestly, I know that I can't write this amazing code that would be very efficient on battery usage and all that kind of stuff. In my mind, I could imagine people paying $300 for this type of sensor if it had a decent. Now, of course, at some point you start assuming liability with that, right? So there's got to be a point in here somewhere where it's not about profits, but also just about utility. And I think, obviously, I was trying to think of ways that we could include or help the Helium Network get off the ground. And this is compelling to me. This isn't just a tracker. I mean, obviously it could. This could be deployed right alongside a regular tracker that's just oh, I'm not in warning status. I'm not alerting on an occupied hot car. This is my location, right? And it could be doing mapping and no problem, right? And then you could just be keeping track of your car at that point. Of course, if the air quality is below a certain point, right, you wouldn't want somebody to have the engine on and be in their garage and the air quality drops and then all of a sudden it's dangerous, right? If we knew that all these parameters of locked, that they're in a car and they're by themselves or the car is occupied and then these dangerous parameters happen, and even if the air quality is very, very, very low and the car is running. So there might be some edge cases even with demo in here that would be incredibly compelling to talk through with them and see if we can get some data merriment matched up. Or maybe this code could just run on the demo itself. I don't know. But this is a lot of information that I'm just like tickled pink about getting me over that hump and putting the word out there. So I think this is an incredible idea. And like I said, if you'd like to kind of partner with me and help push this idea along, I did apply for a grant to help in this development, and it got turned down. And I wasn't. It went to a next stage for the grant, and for some reason it just got turned down. I guess there's more or bigger fish to fry for some reason or another. That's okay. Like I totally respect. I mean, for them to turn down this type of idea, the other ideas must have been absolutely amazing. So this is what I'm putting out there that I'd really love to check out with y'all. I know that there are, if you're like me and you have maybe a little knowledge, try this, see if it works. It might get you over that hump, or just follow along my journey and see, this is, I thought about making a new little series called, what was it? Sensors on a chalkboard or something like that, or sensors on a whiteboard. So it's just talking about how excruciating this process is when you're trying to learn and do something. And this is the part, like, I've always hated about programming is that it's so hard at times when you're just like, I just need to know the things to put in there to get what I want. Like, I don't want to focus on like all the things. I want to get to my utility, right? So if this even does it a little bit, I'm going to be super duper impressed. So, and maybe you're an expert out there and you just took a look at this code that it put out and it's like, oh man, that is crap code. We need to improve that. Well, okay, let's reach out to me either on Discord or via the YouTube channel, and we can go from there. But wanted to show this off and just put the idea out there. I'm sure that I have the connections to, obviously with Rack, to get something like this going and get the idea out there and actually have like even a proof of concept, maybe even by the summer, and just throw it out there. What I imagine, skip forward to the future, is these things work and they're awesome and they're saving lives. And then they're so low priced that literally there's like people that will just like get like a bunch of these, and they will just order thousands of them and dispense them to every first responder out there, or like have at least a decent set, because first responders, they're going to know where usually the most risky areas are. And I don't think there's a first responder out there that well, there just wouldn't be. No first responder, and I happen to be friends with one. No first responder wants to go out there and encounter a young child that has succumbed to the effects of heat, being locked in a hot car. That's just blah. I mean, and so if this little bit of data can get information out there to check earlier, that would be amazing. Like, and honestly, if the child's in my car, please break that window, please. Like, this is like, I don't know what circumstances I would be in that would happen to me, but that is a bad situation. So anybody, it could even be a neighbor and you didn't even know about it and they get locked out in your hot car. Maybe you left the car out on your driveway and some kid climbed in and somehow got locked in. So there's a lot of things like that where this would be an easy call to just, hey, health check. go see this and pump that data right back to local law enforcement to check out first responders. And maybe there's even a trusted community of, or that you have a call list of people that you trust, whether it's your neighbor or somebody like that could run over there and check real quick. Hey, is there somebody in my car? Because that'd be pretty important. So, anyways, that's the long version of the story, as if the idea gets really well vetted and actually proves some utility. But that's the let me know what you think. As always, like and subscribe, and smash that thumbs up. Share it around. I think this is a cool idea. Obviously, it shows the tech of AI helping a rusty programmer figure out what to put in. So, thanks for watching, and Carpe Tempestus.